Now in today's video we're going to be doing a bit of an unboxing because we don't have something that's just new, we actually have something that's new. Now a couple of months ago Arctic reached out to us to see if we would take a look at their newest line of coolers, and of course this is the one that turned up. There is some documentation that we have been sent which does suggest that they do some other models to this, but we've actually been sent their Liquid Freezer 3 240mm black. This is the first time on the channel that we've been asked to look at something pre-release, so at the time of recording you can't actually buy these, so we don't really actually have the MSRPs for them yet. But we can actually take a look at what we get inside there and how it's actually constructed. And to be honest, I have taken a quick little sneak peek inside the box, and this system is pretty awesome. We are used to the typical Arctic colours, but for the packaging, they've actually gone in a different route. Because this is the Liquid Freezer 3 240 black, we do have a black and white box. It's unusual compared to their original blue, and they've made quite a few tweaks to this. When it comes to socket compatibility, this system officially supports the Intel LGA 1700, AMD AM4 and AMD AM5. We do get thermal compound inside of it in the form of MX6. I've never actually used MX6 before, I usually use MX4, so that's going to be quite interesting. When it comes to connections for both pumps and fans, we have a 4-pin PWM connection, and the whole unit has a total weight of 1,460 grams. That doesn't mean it's the lightest all-in-one cooler, particularly for a 240, but you do generally get the feeling of quality when things weigh a little bit more. When it comes to the CPU block, we have a pump that can run between 800 and 2,800 RPM, and of course that is controlled by PWM. It is a 12-volt system running off a 0.35 amp. The plate is made out of copper with micro-skived fins, so it's pretty general all round. When it comes to the fans on the radiators for this, you get two P12 PWM blacks. They are 120mm fans. They have a fan speed of between 200 and 1800 RPM, a bearing of fluid dynamic bearing, and of course for the fan connector they use a 4-pin PWM connection. Now the fans in this are nothing unusual, they are pretty typical for Arctic stuff, but it's everything else that comes in this box which really makes it unique. The first thing we'll do is we'll dive in and we'll take a look at some of the things that you get. Inside the box we can see that we've got this nice white thing in here with what looks like a bit of a pump and a weird thing that kind of sits on the edge. We'll take that out for a minute, but we'll actually take a look at it in a second. If we just remove the pump out of the top here, and we can see that's just a bit of packaging, we can grab some of the accessory boxes and we'll go through them first. When it comes to your standard accessories, they provide everything you actually need for this system. We have a tool for taking off some screws, I believe. Actually, we'll open up the bag and we'll kind of get them out and display them. We have our MX6 compound. You just get this little tiny tube, so there's enough in there probably to do it 1 or 2 times. We get screws for the fans and washers and all that kind of stuff. We'll have to read the instructions to see how they're actually stuck on. We get another bag of screws there. I don't think the bags are actually marked very well, except this one. This one does say it is for the AMD system. It's got AMD printed all over it. We get a number of cables here, which I'm only going to guess that are for the pump system maybe, because that is a 4-pin PWM connection with a PHT connection on the end, so we'll have a look to see how that works in a minute. And then we have a splitter here which also does have a PHT connection, 2, 3, 4-pin PWM connections here, so that's got one written on it: fan, pump and VRM. So there are actually 3 different connections there that you can hook up to your motherboard to different headers which must control something in the unit. We also do have 2 little brackets here, a left and a right, which I do believe are for the AMD socket because they've got something super unique when it comes to Intel. In the other box they provide, we do have something that I thought was actually super cool, to be honest. Something that you don't get with any other cooler, or at least I've not seen with any other cooler. And it kind of explains the little tool that we've got here. Inside this little packaging here, we do have an Arctic contact plate. This is actually pretty cool. It's for the LDA system, and you of course use this on top of the CPU. You remove the current locking down mechanism, you install this on, and that's why you need the little screwdriver, because they are funny screws to take them out. And then of course you have a built-in LGA 1700 contact plate. That will actually save you from buying a different contact plate. And as well on this one, they've actually provided 2 screw holes here where the pump is actually going to mount down. So it's literally an all-in-one built-in system. Now, of course, outside of all the accessories, we do need to take a look at the system itself. And as we can see, this is a bit of a chunk system here. just drop the bags off down there and we'll unwrap everything and we'll take a look at what we've got. This is actually a pretty chunky cooler throughout. We've also got the nice Arctic fans pre-installed. They've actually pre-installed them there. And we've got these little tiny connections off. So in actual fact, if you actually look at the system here, what we do have is we have a wiring system that goes just out of the fans. I'll just drop that down there. Just comes out of the fans across the top, connects to each other. So that's like a pigtail. And then it takes the wire in all the way across to the side into the actual piping system here. And the wiring actually goes up the pipe in here. So it's a completely hidden pipe system or wiring system for the fans. That's going to help dramatically when it comes to your cable management, and it's going to look pretty cool too. For the piping on this, we do have some very nice braided piping, and it's actually quite thick. It's much thicker than some of the piping that I've used on other all-in-one coolers, and they do come off with these nice finished ends on the bottom as well as on the top here on the pump. Now when it comes to the pump is extremely unusual here, and I'll try and get this round so that you can see it. The pump here is actually a side mounted one, so it's actually going to go something like that when it goes down onto your motherboard. It's got the two screw connections here, which are either going to screw into the contact plate like that, or the two brackets that you install here on a motherboard. So that's pretty much for AMD there. And then it's got the piping system that's going to come off the side. That's quite unusual for Arctic, because Arctic usually come out the top, if you remember, on the current one that's got the little fan in it. So we've actually got a nice piping system here. We can see if we look down there, the cable is actually for the fans, is coming down the pipe and it's going into the unit here. So everything pretty much is controlled from this unit. You're going to have a very reduced cable management job here. If we take a look at this pump a little bit further, we can see that there is something actually missing, because that can't clearly look like that. We do have a little peely off here to peel off, which is, I believe, protecting the little board inside here. But we do have a nice little connection on the side here for a PHT connection. That is going to be for either one of these. I think you actually do have a choice here. So you can either connect this single one up, which is just saying CPU on it, and it must control everything by a CPU. Or you can connect them separately using this cable, and you can connect them to different headers. It depends how many headers you've got on your motherboard, but that's nice that they've included both of them, and it's actually all hooked in, so you don't need any kind of fan splitters to go across headers. They've actually built it completely in the system. Another thing in this bag is actually something that is going to make you think of the original design, because this one actually comes with a fan in it. There is a little fan in there. I'm not sure if you can see it in there, but there is a little fan inside this unit. It's reasonably big, to be honest. I think I really do like the size of this. And typically what this is going to do is it's just going to actually hook over the top of this system, just like that, and it's magnetically held on. And then when it's in your system, it's going to kind of look like that. Now, with the way that this actually looks, and it's actually magnetic, so we can pull it off, and it's quite a strong magnet, to be honest. This is actually going to only fit realistically one way. I would suggest that you're probably going to fit it onto your motherboard that way, and the pipes are going to go across the side this way, something like that. So it's not unusual for Arctic to have a weird design like this. And then, of course, this top here, which I don't think even rotates. Maybe you can rotate it, I'm not sure. No, it doesn't appear to rotate, so that's actually going to lock onto here. You would fit that on your motherboard this way around. That will just drop in with magnets like that, and it actually pre-connects the fan system to the connections that are needed. You'll have your little cable sticking out the side, which goes on. Actually, it goes inside here, so this will actually be connected in first. Then you will drop this on here. That will actually magnet up just like that. And then obviously you can fit your radiator either this side, or you can rotate the wires around and it will go this way. Now, there are some pretty unique features to this system that I really like, and I cannot wait to actually get it into a build. Like I said, this is actually recorded pre-release, so I don't have any MSRPs around this. I can't imagine that it would cost that much, because Arctic don't tend to overcharge for their stuff. Even now, you can pick up their original Arctic Freezer 2s for pretty decent prices. I managed to pick up a 360mm one for around £60 about a month ago, so they're not too bad. Hopefully these are not too bad either, but let me know in the comments what you think about this system. Do you have an Arctic all-in-one cooler already, and is this something that you would actually choose? I think this looks absolutely fantastic. We've of course got the fan inside the cooler unit here, which is going to provide lots of air to our VRMs. We've got some very nice fans on the radiator, with a nice big thick radiator, which is going to perform excellently. I'm sure we'll do some testing on this in the future. And the way that they've actually got the cables configured here is pretty much hidden. That is literally it. That is all the cables that you can see here, apart from the one that you will have that sticks out of the side of the pump and goes off to a header. So it's like a single cabled system, and I just think that is awesome. I'm sure at some point we will actually put this into a system. We'll be giving it a test. We'll see how well they look. The black version that they've got here is going to look fantastic for people who don't like RGB. You can really tone down the colors and stuff. But for those of you that are into RGB, like I said right at the beginning of the video, they are going to be releasing multiple models of this. I have seen some pictures of 2 different versions of RGB ones, and in actual fact, if we just take this top off here, I can kind of tell you what they look like. It's kind of like this top will have some RGB lighting in it, whether it is the fan that's RGB itself or whether they're just going to provide some lighting in there. You're going to be able to see some RGB lighting in there, and they do a white and a black version of that. I'm suspecting they will also do a 360mm and a 420mm, so they're going to have lots and lots of choice for people, and for the first time ever, they're going to have some color inside of it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. I want to thank Arctic for sending this across and, you know, trusting us with taking a look at something pre-release. And I'm sure, as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.